Lesson number 3, support and resistance. In lesson 3, you will learn how to find support and resistance levels on the charts where price should reverse. So let's pull up Thinkorswim, okay? And let's look at a daily chart, okay? And let's try and figure out where we can find support and resistance, okay? Let's first kind of draw out what exactly is support and resistance, okay? So I'm going to grab a pen, okay? And here you go. You got a line, right? Then you got another line. All support is the stock price moves up, okay? It's going to find resistance. As it moves down, it's going to find support. Resistance, support, resistance, okay? Now, let's think of this as you're in the building. Maybe 3 or 4 stories, right? And remember those super bouncy balls? Okay, that we would use as kids, okay? That you bounce it and it goes a million miles up in the air, right? So what happens is, imagine you're in a warehouse building, whatever, with multiple floors. You then take that ball and you bounce it. It's going to hit the floor, and then it's going to go all the way up to the ceiling. It's then going to come back down, hit the floor, hit the ceiling, hit the floor, hit the ceiling, hit the floor, and so on, right? But every time it hits either the floor and the ceiling, it actually makes it weaker and weaker, okay? So eventually what's going to happen is it'll hit the floor and it'll break through, okay, to the next level. Now, as it breaks through to the next level, it's going to find where the roof is, okay, or the ceiling, and then it's going to roll back over. And it's now old resistance, right? The floor of the second floor is now going to act as support. And then it bounces back up and comes back down and so on. And then eventually it'll kind of either break back down into the first floor or it'll go up into the second floor. Or sorry, the third floor, right? And keep doing the same thing over and over and over. And that's pretty much all support and resistance is, okay? So let's kind of look at the S&P time frame, okay? And we're going to look at the daily time frame. So as you can see, here's a perfect example of support and resistance, okay? So, price finds support here. It rallies, okay? Comes back down. It finds a support level here. It rallies. Comes back down. Finds support, right? Rallies. Tries to come back. Comes back down. Finds support, okay? Not this level. It breaks through, but it just breaks through briefly, right? Because there's another major level of support here. Goes all the way back up to resistance. Finds resistance. Comes back down. Finds support, okay? Same exact thing. This support level right here. Rallies. Finds resistance. Kind of pokes its head up and then pulls back. But then look at the pullback. It's not as strong, right? And then, so what happens is the pullback, and then it blows through, right? And it takes off. And then it's going to go look for its next support level and resistance level, okay? As you could see, kind of like the example I gave earlier, up, down, support, resistance, right? Or ceiling, floor, ceiling, floor. That's what this was doing. Breaks to the next level and now is finding a new floor and a new ceiling. And just keeps going back up and down, okay? That's, in the simplest form, that's what support and resistance is, okay? Now, support can also be done on a slant. Okay, you can have, it doesn't have to be horizontal, it could be slanted, right? So as you can see here, we find support, right? Rallies, finds support, but a higher support, right? Higher support, because now every time it pulls back, it's making higher lows, correct? Okay, and that's what we talked about in the last video of the trend. So which way is the trend? Well, we're making higher highs and we're making higher lows. But every time it makes a low, it's finding a support level. And all we're really doing, okay, if we kind of zoom in here, is we're just finding pivot points, okay, or anchors. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a trend line from this low to this low because we rally. I'm going to then right click and draw that line all the way out to the right. Okay, as you can see, we find support, come back down, support, bounce. We dip below, but it's still acting as support, come back down, support. Now, we're not using, when you trade, don't ever use a fine-tooth pen or pen on support and resistant lines. Sometimes it'll come up a little short, sometimes it'll go beyond. Use a bigger marker, okay? So now let's look real quick at a real small time frame. So look at the 1 minute chart, okay? And let's see if we can find support and resistance levels, right? Well, right here we see a double bottom, right? So let's pull out our price level. Okay, as you can see, price comes down, bounces, pulls back, bounces, finds support, right? Now, let's draw a trend line here, okay? And, well, now here's our floor, right? So we come back down, and look at this, right? As we come back down to retest on the very first touch, we bounce. But then, we kind of dip below, we come back up, right? Dip. So now we're on kind of both sides of it, right? And then it fails. Once it fails, it comes back up, and look at what price does. Comes directly to it, and it fails. This time breaks through. You had news. Fails hard. Comes all the way back up, right? And finds resistance. Pulls back. Resistance. Pulls back. Comes back up. Resistance. Okay? That's how support and resistance work. So it's really good once you have swing lows, and this kind of comes back down to what we were talking about in the last video with trends, right? We're looking for higher highs, higher lows. Where are the trends, right? So, and I personally like to use the price levels, right? So I know exactly where. Okay, sometimes they'll break up and then they'll reverse right back down. Okay, so usually what you want is, if it's going to be strong, you're not going to get wicks, okay? What you'll do is you'll get a candle that closes above, okay, a support level or a resistance level. You want to buy above the long of that candle. Okay, or sorry, the very next candle. So is this candle formed? Do you see that we actually close the candle above it, right? Well, your entry would be one tick above this, okay, for a long trade, because that's going to almost confirm, hey, this is a potential breakout. If you close a candle back down under that trend line, let's say it actually triggers, right, gets you in, then it reverses, and the candle closes below this support or resistance level, that's your exit. So you're you just saw how to do it with very small risk and reward. So let me see if there's anything over here. Okay, so here, so right here, okay, you actually had a candle close above, right? We actually closed above, and normally you want to see a candle like this where it closes at the highs, okay, not a doji or a shooting star or anything like that. You actually want to see a nice clean close, right? But right here, once price breaks above this, okay, is kind of your entry. And look at this. Yeah, it came down, tested, right? But then here, you probably got shooken out here, but then the very next one, and then it came up, okay? This isn't probably the best example, but this is the price action we had today. But as you can see, this is a nice power candle, right? But we weren't able to break the high of it. If we were, a 30.75 was the high, your entry would have been 31 to get long. And then if we fall back below and close below that support level or resistance, that's where your exit would be. And it's just looking and identifying all these support and resistance levels, right? Another way of looking at it is maybe go out a little farther and just start to draw trend lines, right? Where is price failed at other times, right? So you could kind of look at this level right here. We rally, come right back to it, and then fail. And here's a perfect example, right? We break out above this support level. Okay, you can even use this right here on a smaller time frame, right? So look, we've resistance, pull back, resistance, pull back, resistance, pull back. Boom, on this candle, go one tick above it and look at the buying power. It's just more of a momentum. It's waiting for that candle to break above and confirm. You can use it on any time frame. Now, the smaller the time frame that you use, the less relevance. So for breakouts, again, you can use the 1 minute. It's not gonna, you'll get a lot more noise in the 1 minute than you would in the 5 or a 15 or an hour chart. Okay, so, but again, finding support and resistance levels are really key because you'll know exactly where price potentially could stop at a later date, right? You see these two guys, these candles, right? So we break down what was support, right? You could see this was support. We break down, come back, resistance now, fail, resistance, fail. Okay. And then you come all the way back up here at this level, okay? And we come right to it. We came a couple ticks away from it, about 3 or 4 points away, and then failed. Okay, so like I said, sometimes it'll touch it to the tick. Other times it might be a couple points, a point, 2 points. So it's something that you have to anticipate. So that was lesson 3 on support and resistance. Lesson 4 is going to be coming up next.